Hey, and welcome to the 13th episode of Second Chances. I can't believe it's actually 13 episodes. Wow. My name is Dr. Hanan Salim. I'm an international author, award-winning international speaker, as well as I'm recognized by the World Health and Wellness Gurus as the most influential thought leader in health and well-being. So I'm very, very excited today, as I'm always every week, because I bring on not only people that I love and trust, and I am, I've worked with, and they've been actually part of my journey, and their expertise is actually world recognized. And Arthur Carmazzi is going to be my guest today, and he is going to blow you guys away with the information and the value that he has also brought into my halology system. Whoever's following me with halology, chronic body disruptors, and all that, he's just an amazing, amazing guy. And before we do that, I want to let you guys know why I started Second Chances. So Second Chances is actually the roadmap that I had outlined in my book, Second Chances, that showcases my personal story, what I've learned on that journey, and giving the health and mind hacks, if you will, to wellness and well-being. Of course, I've grown so much from writing the book, but that's basically why I even launched the podcast or the show Second Chances, is to bring other expertise who have taken on a personal journey to find the tools and techniques and the knowledge to make an impact for not only themselves, but to pay it forward for others. And my guest today, Arthur Carmazzi, is no different. He is actually the award-winning author. Let me see where we are. Okay, he's ranked as one of the world's top 10 most influential thought leader in leadership, organizational culture, by global gurus. He's a best-selling author and founder of the Directive Communication Psychology. We'll be talking about that today. Authors gamification methodologies, which is actually amazing learning technique that he uses when he's teaching his courses or his programs, which is absolutely amazing. And I'm going to ask him to share a lot of information about that. It has influenced in the training and leadership development industry through his unique game-based psychological approaches to leadership and corporate culture transformation. His innovative tools, assessment, and games, including a game that helps organizations gamify work processes, which was absolutely amazing, because I'm going to be talking about that with him, because you would think corporates are so like stuffy and they don't play any games or any of that. He broke all that, and he is going to share with us how he created that to make a visible ROI on engagement, productivity, effective behavior modification. His research on the genetic foundations of the brain's ambiguity, relief, clarity, getting process have been the inspiration of something called color brain. And I'm sure it's wildly gone wild on a lot of people, because it's absolutely amazing. And I've seen it in action with teamwork, with trust issues and things like that. We're going to get into a lot of detail from Arthur about that as well. He's actually worked this model across multinational countries in 57 countries with over 540 licensed directive communication psychology, leadership, and culture trainers, me being one of them, in 19 different countries. DC now is recognized as a global brand. And without further ado, here's my dear friend, amazing.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Hey, Arthur.
Hey, Hanan, how are you?
Good, good. You can see how excited I am. I hope we have enough time to cover everything, because you are such.
Yeah, I live up to the expectation. Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So why don't we start off? Did I miss anything? How was the introduction? And
yeah, the introduction was long. You can't even miss anything. Other than the fact that I have two kids, Dante and Alessandro, a wonderful wife, Budi, and I live in a castle in Bali. Other than that, everything's good.
Which you built, by the way. Yes, we have to mention it. So why don't we start off with telling us your second chances journey and how it all started? Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, Hannah and I am so honored that you actually are having me on the show. So I really appreciate that. So my first second chance, I've had lots of second chances, thirds and fourths and fifths, right? But my first second chance, I used to be a child. No, really, it's true. I know it kind of doesn't look like it, but and so when I was going to school, basically I had some problems with school and especially with spelling and time and things like this. And basically, my teachers compared me to everybody else, and honestly, I just didn't compare. So they basically called my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Carmazzi, your son Arthur is special. Okay, code word for stupid. And of course, what they said, we've got to bring him to a special children's class, right? So off I go. And in this special kids class, there's Mrs. Kelly, the teacher. And she's so kind and she's so sweet and she smiles all the time. And she just kind of made me feel like it was okay to be stupid. And I just kind of felt comfortable. And I noticed that the more stupid that I acted, the more attention I got in, and I like attention. So guess what? So anyway, after a while, the school changed the rules. They said, oh, sorry, before you can go to high school, you have to have an algebra class. I think, oh my gosh, algebra, isn't that like math for smart kids? I can't do that. But they said I had to do it, so off I went. My very first report card, what do you think I got?
What?
An F. Of course I got an F. I was a stupid kid, right? Okay. And nobody was surprised. Nobody was surprised. I got an F. Okay. But this is where things change. This is where my second chance came in. See, the algebra teacher, Mr. Backus. So he had this like really shiny bald head and this kind of corduroy coat that he always wore. I don't know if it was the same one or whatever, but he always wore this same corduroy coat. And, he sat down with me and he just asked me a few questions. And then he put a simple algebra problem on the board. And he says, Arthur, can you solve this? And of course, I do what they tell you to do in school, right? You're supposed to show your work, otherwise it doesn't count. He says, no. Don't write anything down. Just try to give me the answer in your head. Just try to solve it. Give me the answer in your head. I said, okay, it's this. And he said, that's right. I was like, okay. So he put another one on and he says, okay, what's this one? Don't write anything down. Just tell me the answer. And I said, it's this. And he said, that's right. So turns out, he says that, he's going to have this game. Every end of the week, he is going to invite people to volunteer to essentially compete against each other by putting simple algebra problems on the board, and the first person who can solve them in their head without writing anything down gets extra credit points. So he said, hey, would you like some extra credit points? All I have to do is kind of stand in front of everybody. I'm like, okay, I need extra credit. So I go and the end of the week comes and I'm doing this game. And guess what? I'm actually good at this game. I'm actually better at this game than most of the kids in my class. And I'm good at this game in front of my entire class of kids, right? And all of my peers. And so after playing this game at the end of every week for 3 weeks, some of these other kids start coming up to me and they say, hey, Arthur, can you help me with my homework? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, these people think I'm smart. And, I would come up with some excuse, my mom's waiting, sorry. Until one day, Lynn Pachowski, this beautiful 8th grade girl, comes up to me and says, Arthur, can you help me with my homework, please? And I'm like, yeah. And I learned to be smart. And see, the thing is that it was literally not because I couldn't do it. It's because I couldn't really understand or do it in the way that the system was doing, because they make you write all this stuff down. And the moment I start writing stuff down, it just kind of got messed up for me. Even today, I am old and I still can't spell. So if it wasn't for, I've written 13 books now. If it wasn't for Bill Gates and spell check and all of this stuff, man, I would have been, I wouldn't have anything going on. So there's another second chance. Thanks, Bill Gates and spell check.
Yeah, Arthur, by the way, I think we had an issue before going live. It's a bit slow.
Okay.
Your talk and the picture kind of is a bit hazy. So I could understand it, but it sounds a bit robotic. Is there any way, you could I don't know what we could do with this, but it's okay. We'll keep going. I still understand you're coming through. But a little bit, in a little bit of a delay, but it's coming through. So we'll work with it. We'll work with
I'm hardwired here. I'm not using wireless. I'm connected directly to the wire.
Yeah, same here. I'm doing the same thing. Yeah. All right, no worries. Let me
Do the robot thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's get right into it then and talk about DC psychology. How you got into DC psychology and the 8 brain hacks. I've been using that word in my book, health and mind hacks, and now when I have a new vocabulary after meeting you, and we call it now brain hacks. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. Well, first of all, that would be my how I got into DC psychology would be another second chance story. See, I got I used to be managing director of this company in Korea that would basically create franchises for organizations, and I was kind of good at that job, but it was more of a hands-on kind of thing, and sometimes when you're good at something, you start to think, I am so awesome. And your head starts to get a little bit big, and you don't really think that you're, basically you start thinking that you can do anything, and if anything goes wrong, it can't be your fault because, like, I'm too awesome, right? So that's what happened. Basically, my head got a little bit big, and I thought, wow, I'm so awesome. I'm going to start, and I take all my money, I'm going to build my own company, and I'm going to leave these guys behind. I'm going to, make millions of dollars. And, so I took all of my money and I put it into, creating this other company in Singapore, because I used to be in Korea. And what happened was that after about a year and a half of putting all this in, putting all my money, borrowing another $500,000, after a year and a half, I wasn't broke. I was in fact, I was $500,000 in debt, basically, which really sucked. Do not try this at home. And so what ended up happening is I needed to get a job. And I got this job. It was a really cool job. You remember how, like when you first got a job, it's like, wow, you've got this high potential, like, oh, 1 year I'm going to be this way, and 5 years later I'll be like this, and you've got all these ideas of what you're going to do and how awesome you're going to be. And of course, I thought I was still awesome at that time. And so what ended up happening was that I go into this job and I'm very excited, but after a little while, I started to notice that other people are like blaming each other, like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with these people? And I thought, no problem, I can do it, I can make these, and I'd come up with these cool ideas, and I'd share them with the other department heads, and they'd say, hey, Arthur, look, we understand you're new here, but you do your thing, and we'll do our thing. And I'm like, oh man, there's no cooperation. And I have no problem, I can do it. And about 4.5 months later, okay, I got sucked in. I started blaming people. I started to, people come up to me and say, hey, Arthur, can you help me with this thing? And I said, look, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. And I became an underachiever. And my job, I felt stuck. I just really felt like, I was like, oh my gosh, is it Monday again? And I couldn't really feel that my life had real value at the time, because I felt like, I couldn't quit because I needed the money. And, I just felt that my life the purpose had been sucked out of my life. and I was in this job that I didn't really like, and it affected my personal life and my, and everything. And one day I looked into the mirror and I said, man, you suck, and I went and I talked to these other department heads, these other bad people that were making my life difficult. And I found out something completely unexpected. I found out that they were also real human beings, and that they also kind of felt stuck, and they also had a lot of the same problems that I did. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is something different. And I didn't realize what was going on until I had started talking to these people. So I thought, okay, well, there is something bigger than just those people making my life difficult. And so that's when I started looking into environment and culture and things like this. And so that's where, again, the colored brain concept, some of the early work in culture came from, and essentially the other directive communication psychology models were born out of trying to solve my problem of why I felt stuck in this job and why I couldn't, and why these other people were doing the same thing. And eventually we ended up, I ended up kind of using some of this stuff, and we ended up saving the company $17,000 a week in wastage.
Wow.
So that's how I kind of started. And after that, I got articles in the newspaper, then I got on radio, and then I got on TV, and then I was able to quit my job because people were calling me and stuff. And so that's where that second chance kind of got me started on my new journey as Arthur Carmazzi, who eventually figured out that he wasn't full of awesomeness in every way. So yeah, that was where that started. And as far as the 8 brain hacks, I mean, everything that I do, I'm a science guy with a marketing background. Okay, so everything I do starts from marketing. So the whole 8 brain hacks that are used in directive communication psychology for the purpose of basically creating more retention, more implementation, because at the end of the day, that's the result is what is important. It is the result, right? So if you're going to do some kind of training, you're going to do some kind of, or you're going to hire somebody to do some kind of training. I mean, if they can give you a real result, you're going to talk about them and you're going to hire them back for other stuff. So everything that I did was based around what are other people not doing and how can I improve results, how can I improve implementation, which is one of the key things that most clients were not getting in the way that they needed to. And of course, more implementation means also more retention. And so I did a lot of research into these different brain hacks and how you can literally create better learning. And I've been using it with my kids as well. I mean, if you know Dante, I mean, he'll come up to you, he'll talk to you about the history of ancient Greece or nanobots or everything, right?
Yeah. And this is what attracted me to the EC psychology, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, I am a scientist. I have the science brain. And a lot of the numbers you were able, and the statistics and the research and the data and all that, I mean, you went above and beyond to actually, for people like me, actually, who need that data, the statistics and the numbers. So if I could say, like, DC programs are actually 38% more implementation than other experiential programs, right? And also it's 42%. I mean, these numbers, 42% more retention and personally relevant competency, and 100% sustainability in consulting initiatives, right?
So that's the culture change initiatives, and the 100% also relates to the fact that we only work with companies that meet a certain criteria. So if they don't meet the criteria, we can't do them because it won't work. But the ones that do meet the criteria, it always works.
Yeah. So I just when I actually I came to you to help me with See, I had all the science, I had all the numbers, I had all the statistics, and I was like, oh my God. And that's what I was using, and without the marketing part. So you were the guy that actually said, okay, hold on, Hanan, back a little bit. People, I understand because you understood me because you have that science and understanding the numbers and everything, but you brought it to my attention and made it see from the viewpoint of how I could make it more understandable, what words or how I could bring my hilology across and the exact problem I was solving for people. And now we work together and we have something called chronic biodisruptors. Hence, with us working together, I was very appreciative because now we have a name, we have the numbers, we have the research, we have it in the scientific journals, we have a lot of articles, and you actually put me on that path to say, okay, yeah, where's the evidence, where's the numbers, where's the statistics, where's the research, where's the articles, where's the evidence to show that hilology will do X, Y, and Z and help people with their health and wellness and healing the root cause, and all the steps behind hilology. And I think that I'm forever grateful for your help on that and bringing hilology now to such a bigger level of global, and people now understand, get and grasp what that is. It excites me now that people didn't know how to even pronounce it. They were like hilology, and now it's like it rolls off their tongue and it's like hilology. And I was like, OMG, nobody knew how to pronounce it.
I mean, you're a brilliant scientist, Anna. I mean, that goes without saying. But again, I mean, the problem was that you're just, it's just so obvious to you, do this and do this and do this, and you're going to get this this result, which is basically an internal form of helping your body to heal itself. Which to you is so obvious because you've been living it, you've been researching it for the past 20 years. Okay, so when you get to the regular person, well, they need a little more help to get your 20 years more worth of experience.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I was so amazed at all, the DC psychology, the color brain. As a matter of fact, it was because of you that now I call hilology psychology prescriptions. I threw the psychology from you, psychology, which is I'm very, very grateful for. So tell us about how all your trainers. I mean, you have I forgot how many now. I don't know if this number is correct. 540 licensed directive communication psychology leadership trainers. Over 90.
More than that, but roughly about that. Somewhere over that.
Yeah. So I tell us more about if my followers and my viewers could learn a little bit about how DC psychology can actually help them if they're a corporate, if they're a business owner, if they're an entrepreneur, even if they're a coach or a consultant or a trainer.
Or a parent.
Or a parent. Yes, exactly. I use it on my kids. Yes.
So I mean, basically, okay, directive communication, or DC, essentially is the science of group dynamics. So it's not about you, it's about you in a group. And if you notice, you probably will notice that you behave differently around your family than you do at work. And maybe you behave differently at work than you do with your friends. And you have a different group of friends and you also behave differently around them. You're not trying to behave differently. The environments simply bring out different facets of who you are. Why? And basically, that is the question that DC psychology answers. It answers the question why you, in some environments, are like, wow, I am awesome, I am capable, I am innovative, I am powerful. And in other words, it's like, oh my God, why can I get out of here? Okay, and it's you. Both of these are you. But why, or when you're in one group of people, are you different than another group of people? And in some situations, in some groups, you notice that you have certain characteristics that maybe in other groups you don't. And what if you can essentially take all of the best parts of who you are from different environments, okay, and put them together so that basically you just are the best person you are, and create and cultivate environments that support you being the best person. And essentially, that's what we do. That's what DC psychology does. And it's what you can do with your team at work. It's what you can do with your family. It's what you can do with your relationships.
Absolutely. And you can take it as far as helping corporates, because of course, through your research and your science, you've shown that the one thing that people break down the teamwork and the communication is trust. And you bring now the gamification, even in the corporate environment, to have people understand where the communication breaks down, where you could actually be able to initiate the understanding of other people's ambiguity relief formula that you scientifically now have proven. So at first, like, the gamification was a new concept for me, because you think your own kids are only the ones that play games, and then once you become an adult, and then you take it into the corporate environment. That was like, what? So yeah, tell us about that. How it was for you to bring that, and was it as easy as you thought to bring that kind of atmosphere gamification in a corporate setting? I mean, you've done it for Emirates Airlines, I believe, and a lot of the big names here, and even in Dubai. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain a little bit about what gamification is. Of course, we use gamification in training. I mean, that's not a new thing, or anymore anyway. But the thing is that let's just look at training from that perspective. Gamification in training is great if it actually has a purpose. And there's a lot of people that just do games just because, and try to figure out how to kind of match it to something. Oh, let's have a blindfold and walk across things. And these kinds of things that don't necessarily have any very tangible element for retention and implementation, right? So number one, all of our training games are very specifically designed to have a specific learning, retention, and implementation outcome. And every game that comes after the first game reinforces some of the information or concept or ideas or implementation from the previous one, and so on and so on. So by the time you play 5 games, the first game that you played and the purpose of that, the things you learned from it, are reinforced 5 times. Okay, so you never forget that stuff. Okay, so it's not like you go into just one concept and you forget the previous concept. You connect it. That's how your brain works. It connects things, and the more connections you have, the more retention, the more chance to implement. Okay, so now let's look at the other thing: work gamification. Totally different animal. Okay, because it's not about playing games. It's about gamifying work. Right? So. Right. Now, you are probably watching this on Facebook. Is that correct? Is everybody watching this on Facebook?
Yes, Facebook, right? And YouTube. Yes.
And YouTube. Awesome. Which means that you are basically, at least if you're on Facebook for sure, and for that matter, even YouTube, okay, your life is being gamified. All right? Your life is being gamified. Why? Well, let's look at this. First of all, let's just take Facebook. You post a picture. Do you actually check how many people liked it? How many comments you got? Okay, if anybody shared it. I mean, it's like, oh wow, I got 100 likes on this one. Oh wow, look, I got 17 shares. Okay, it's like, oh, look at all these comments. Should I answer them? Oh, I don't know time, but I should. Okay, and so you get all these, you get excited. Why do you get excited? Well, basically because Facebook is helping you to validate your life, okay? And that validation is kind of this connection to, our instinctual element of essentially being valuable. Okay, are we valuable human beings? We want to be valuable human beings. When people go into jobs, they're not looking at a job where they can basically just most people aren't looking for a job where they can just basically relax and not do anything. Most people actually want to do a good job in their jobs. It's just that often the environment doesn't really support them, and so eventually they just give up and, basically become underachievers. Okay, but gamification, essentially is the idea of creating systems of measurement that support positive emotions in the process and achievement of specific things. Okay, so when you are posting on Facebook, all of these likes and shares and everything else essentially is a form of measurement, and those create positive emotions. Unless, of course, you only get like one like. It's like, what? Only one like? Or you get, or on Facebook, you get like 150 comments saying how awesome you are, and then you get that one person that just says you're nasty. And what you focus on? Oh my gosh, look, this one person they said. Right? So we have all these measurement things that right now are in a normal corporate environment is called performance measurement, right? And they do it. The only difference is that they're doing it in a very old-fashioned way. And there's still companies out there that do annual reviews, and they do, or at best quarterly reviews, right? But those, can you imagine? I was like, wow, I did this really great thing. Okay. Did anybody notice? Okay. And then you're like waiting to see if somebody noticed it, and maybe they didn't. And then the annual review comes, or the quarterly review, and it's like, oh man, but you remember that thing like 8 months ago? What? Nobody remembers that. Nobody cares anymore. They only remember the past month. Okay. Yeah. And these are reasonably ineffective. So what happens is that, gamification basically helps you to get consistent feedback measurement based on performance. But here's the thing, you cannot measure KPIs on a daily basis because it takes time to actually achieve things and get your objectives, right? So what you do for work gamification is you basically work backwards. All right, here's the objective. Now, people that have achieved these objectives basically have these kinds of attitudes, these kinds of behaviors, these kinds of actions. Okay, so now you work backwards. You reverse engineer what is required in order to achieve that objective, and then measure the behaviors and attitudes rather than just the actual result. Now, it's still okay to measure the result, but you know how when you get that feedback, it tells you, yes, I'm doing the right thing, or no, maybe I need to try a different strategy. Okay. And when you gamify, for example, Squadly with an L-I, not an L-Y, like Squadly.com is an app that allows you to essentially gamify behavior. Okay, so you can actually create behavior change.
Yeah. Did I spell it right on the chat?
Did you put it somewhere on the chat? I don't see it. Ah, yes, that is correct. Squadly.com, absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what was my second question. Like, what kind of, because I've seen your a lot of the apps, and you kind of do a done for you tools, if you will, that actually people just use a code or a number, or and you just go through a series of questions, which I find really, really cool, and it leaves, that how do you call it, chance for a discrepancy, if you will, in the results. And I think you are actually a genius in how you're able to take that and create it into an app that people could just go in and get that voila, your if we talk color brain, for example, you do the whole series and you're like green brain and purple and we when people go into your DC psychology training, I was one of them that was like blown away, like, oh my god, how simple is that, to understand, and just the whole vocabulary that you come out from it, like, don't what was the famous one is needing, or don't need, there's
Oh,
something
need
about
sucking. Need sucking.
need sucking, yeah. So can you just, like, I mean, there's so much to talk about, and I just don't want to confuse people, because obviously we're both green brain and we're just chaotic when we come to explaining things, right? So let's do this. Why don't we give me the website that I could type in, and as we're talking, people can actually go and check it out. So it's www.
coloredbrain.com. coloredbrain.com. And Hannah, I have just put a code inside of this little private chat thing for you. That code can be used for the next 100 people to go ahead and take the test for free.
Wow, coloredbrain.com. Okay, what's the code? It's not an error occurred when you tried to enter the code for some reason.
Okay, it's under private chat. Okay, I just sent it to you on private chat. Okay.
Oh, I see it now. Okay. Yeah, I see it. All right.
You got it? Awesome. Yeah. So that code will allow all of our users or all of your viewers to take the test for free.
Let me just post it here for everybody to see. Yeah. It's, yeah. Yeah. All right, there it is. Okay, cool. So it's very important. I mean, this is a very simple, you hear me, Arthur?
Yes, I can. I can hear you perfectly well.
Okay. So if they just go to coloredbrain.com and use this code, right?
Right. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happens there? Can you explain to us, like, how important is this in understanding your ambiguity relief? It's scientific, right? So it's kind of the way I explain it for people. It's a genetic, right? It's a processing, the way your brain processes information. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So, well, basically, here's the thing. All right. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you're explaining something to somebody, right? And you're very clear and very concise, and you make sure that, you explain it very well. And you ask them, do you understand? And they say, yes, I do. And you're very confident. And then they go and do something completely different. Okay? Because this essentially is why, okay, our clarity process is different. I mean, it's literally looking through colored glasses, okay? When you look through red glasses and you see things, I mean, it's like there's certain things that are very obvious, right? I mean, come on, okay? But then the same person looking at the exact same thing through blue colored glasses is going to look at that and it's like, well, yeah, of course, this is very obvious, but but what you see is actually very different. Yeah. And it's the process of how we get clarity that affects our communication, and it also is one of the root causes of why trust breaks down. So the ambiguity release process is basically the genetic way that your brain gets clarity. Now, for those of you that are science guys out there, this has nothing to do with neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is essentially in your brain when things basically are rewired, your connections are rewired. Okay? Colored brain, or the ambiguity relief process, which is measured and identified by colored brain, okay, is the part that regulates the neurotransmitters that create those connections. It's not the connections themselves, right? Okay, so it's not technically in your brain, all right? The genetics are elsewhere, but they regulate the specific enzymes and neurotransmitters that determine how you get clarity. Okay, and this basically happens in 3 different parts of your brain, and that also essentially deals with what you think is just common sense. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where it's like, oh my gosh, this person is just not exhibiting common sense? Why can't they just see what's so obvious? And they're looking at you thinking, oh my gosh, this person just, is an idiot because they can't see what's so obvious. And you're looking at the same thing with different colored glasses. And so this also, of course, because you start treating people differently because they obviously are wrong, or they're not doing things your way. Or in some cases, of course, you encourage them to do things your way because, of course, your way is right because it's common sense and it's worked for you forever. And so therefore it should work for them. Why can't they learn it? And of course, this basically makes people feel less valuable, which of course reduces trust. And so you've got all kinds of things that also are affecting synergy, communication, and ultimately engagement and safe environment. I mean, really, that's one of the key things. I mean, if you're going to be innovative, if you're going to be honest, especially in relationships, you have all these things. You have to be able to have a safe environment.
Yes. So a lot of people, this is what happens, they compare themselves, right? Oh, they look at the way that it comes easy to them to be so organized, for example, or look how they could actually, put words together, or are connecting with people so easily. Why can't I can't, why can't I do that, or whatever? And this kind of makes you understand and puts you at ease of don't compare. I mean, this is you, just accept it. This is the way it's genetic. It's like having I think we described it as having, expecting I have brown eyes and you have hazel eyes, or someone has blue eyes. You can't go and say, well, you have to have blue eyes, or whatever, change the color of your eyes. You just can't do it, because that's just the way your brain processes information and gets
Exactly.
and gets that. So the faster the color brain that you have, or how you process information, the better. And it relieves a lot of stress. It relieves a lot of I think, confidence issues and everything. It has such a huge ripple effect.
And just speaking of this, there is another brilliant speaker in Dubai who is a friend of mine. Her name is Andrea Zoya.
Yeah,
and,
she was on my show.
Right. So she, the first time I met her, I could easily see that she was green-brained. Okay. And so I go up and after talking for a little while, she was telling me how essentially she wanted to be more structured and more this and and more linear processing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she has this brilliance already, okay, with her brain, chaotic processing brain, which allows her to do things that other people can't. And of course, yes, there's structured people and they can do other things that she can't. That's not the point. The point is that she wasn't embracing the best part of who she was, because, again, like you said earlier, she was comparing to other people and other ways of doing things, because those ways appeared to be more effective. But in reality, what made her extraordinary was the fact that she was chaotic, she was out there, she was doing crazy stuff, and and that's also one of the things that's made her quite famous, and an extraordinary presenter who helps people to also improve their confidence and their public speaking skills.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I have here Dr. Hernady. She's actually a hilology practitioner, and we actually did the So she's a fellow green brain.
All right, yay!
Yeah. So yeah, once I implement, I have the psychology part. I've been using helping people understand because Dr. Hanadian and all the green brains, including myself, right? So I was like, oh, I wish I could be more structured. I wish I could, like, just like you were announcing how Andrea, and that was actually taking away from our powers, taking away from of our authenticity, our uniqueness, that we could actually deliver and make an impact with. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the things that it really, that Colored Brain also helps you to do is really understand the power of what you naturally have, how your brain works, how you get clarity, how that natural power can be leveraged to achieve more of what you want to do.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. So another question I wanted to ask is now you've taken your marketing and your DC psychology, and now you've created, because a lot of people due to COVID is taking all their trainings, if you will, and their knowledge online, creating courses, creating trainings, and everything like that. And I've actually joined one the MBA online workshop with you, and it's absolutely genius, and it just takes you and brings food to thought, if you will, of things that you really wouldn't consider. You just on there giving the content and delivering it, and giving the surveys, if quizzes, some exercises and things like that. And now that I'm launching my own Hillology Wellness Psychology course, so on the 23rd of July, you gave me some tools and things that I could now go live, including things like the Colored Brain, where we could do exercises together, where we could gamify the information, and it's very crucial. I think if anybody's going to launch a course or a program or anything like that, you want to, it's not that they paid you and now you could relax and okay, you made some money on the course. No, I think people should now consider how you could have people complete the course, benefit from the course, and be able, because that's where the achievement and the impact is, right? And people need to understand how this tools that you give would allow people not only to retain the information but enjoy it and want to show up, and without any pushing or motivation tools or any of that, because I personally believe motivation exists before you show up, right? It's not something you can do to have people to show up for themselves and to show up for completing a task or a course or whatever. So why don't you tell us about that, and allow people to understand some of the takeaways or ideas that you have that people can need to, one of them which we already spoke about, which is gamification, which I think is absolutely amazing, because that's how we learn and retain information, right? So what else could you, suggest for people who are launching information on courses and things of the sort that they could may have missed and now need to consider to make it a successful one?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of, because of the situation that we're in right now, there's a lot of people who never even thought about launching a course that now had an opportunity to improve their financial status and branding, and basically even change their entire direction in career, simply because the state of what has been happening. I mean, there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs, and they really have a lot of potential opportunities because they have knowledge and experience that, well, basically is unique to them. So even if there's people out there that haven't been thinking about building an online course, right now is the time, because this thing is not going to go away soon. Okay, and so the program that I've created, one of the key things is basically for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's a lot of people that have told me, oh, I really want to build my own online course. And they've been telling me this for around 3 years already, some of them, okay? And I mean, you know, we have 9 very successful online courses and a few unsuccessful ones from before. But the thing is that, you know, we're consistently building these new courses, and well, I mean, you know, you know how it works because you've attended a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're also on this one. So this one is it's called the Workshops MBA, and you can actually find it at workshops.mba, www.workshops.mba. And this program is designed around the idea that, first of all, you need somebody to help you finish it. Okay, it's not like, let me teach you what to do and you do it, because we all know that you're going to get busy. Okay, this is, we sit there, we work with you, we make sure that you finish it, and that not only, and after you finish it, we help you with the other really difficult part, which is selling it. Okay, and actually, one of the key things that, again, like I said, you know, I come from a marketing background, even though I have a science background. So we start with the marketing before we even build the course. We build it so that it is a sellable, interesting, stand out kind of course that will basically solve a problem that nobody else has, or sorry, that nobody else can. Okay, so so here's one of the key things. If you can identify and define a person's problem in a way that they've basically never heard it before, that helps them to really understand the workings of why that problem has happened, and you're so clear, and it becomes very easy for them to go, oh my gosh, now I understand that's why.
Yeah.
Then you provide a solution based on that problem that basically follows your line of thinking. Now you have a winning combination, because what most people try to do is they just say, oh, you want leadership? Here's, you know, I've got a leadership, and oh, it's an awesome leadership course, and oh, it's very high quality, and I am very good at leadership, so that's why you should listen to me. It's like, so what? What's specific, right? I mean, let's take philology, for example. All right. I mean, philology. Okay. When you were explaining to me, well, you know, it's the merger of science and pharmacy, you know, and taking that and looking at the elements of wellness and homeopathy, and, you know, by combining these in a certain way, and then, you know, you're looking at also the epigenetics and how both of these elements are connected. It's like, okay, great, I get that. Who else does? And he's like, well, yeah, you know, not really many people do. Remember that? You know, like, oh my God. So now what we did with that is we focused on literally finding the root cause problems. Okay. Yeah. And rather than focusing on helology, we focused on what the root cause problems were, which were the chronic biodisruptors. Okay. Yeah. And if you've got basically one chronic biodisruptor, okay, and they're very defined, okay, you're going to, well, maybe not have a lot of energy. If you got 2, you may have less energy and not be as focused. If you've got 3, you know, you might get sick a little bit here and there, and also, you know, sometimes you're not really that energetic and maybe not that focused. And of course, you got 4, now you're starting to get screwed, okay, and so on, right? So, I mean, you got these different things, and you define them very easily, very clearly, and very simply, so that people understand, oh my gosh, that's why I'm not losing weight, okay, that's why I'm not being as productive, and they can see it very clearly. And so now you basically give them helology, which is essentially the science that solves these problems, that kills the chronic biodisruptors. But, you know, the ability to explain that is what is literally why people want to buy your course and want to work with you, because you explain it in such a way that nobody else does, and your process solves the problem like nobody else does.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I think I'm, you know, 5-star was my aim, and now I feel, you know, it's going to be a 7-star course that people are just going to be just eating everything up, you know, with the gamification aspect, making it fun, retaining the information, taking something that's so scientific and make it into an art, of people being able to understand it, even without any medical background or any clinical or scientific background. I mean, I have people who are very scientific. I mean, I have, you know, Dr. Hanedi, who just saw, she's a surgeon. She knows all the science, but you know, I have it from that end to people who have no, you know, come from corporate who want to do hilology, and now because of your help, you know, my communication and my, you know, the layman's terminology that I now use resonates with people, and that, I think, like you said, is very, very key. The marketing is very key. Yes, we have a good product. Yes, we have the science. Yes, we have the tools, and we've seen it work over and over again. But you know, if nobody knows about it, or if you can't communicate it with others,
or nobody understands it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the key. Creating the blue ocean element.
Yes, yes, that's one of your modules. Yes, absolutely. Amazing, amazing, Arthur. I can't get enough. My God, we've been on here for an hour. Can you believe it?
Oh my God, no way, an hour.
It's already an hour. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure, and I appreciate it that you are giving these free tests for my audience. Here it is once again, colorbrain.com with the code. You can go on there and get a free test, you know, a survey. We don't want to say test, so they don't think it's like.
It's an inventory. It's not a test. Inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. To go in there and get the you know, understand how your mind and your brain analyzes and information, and of course clarity, exactly. And now we have the workshops .mba that we're actually working to launch my course, Hilology, which I'm very, very excited about. And thank you, Arthur. I really appreciate it, and all you've helped me with, and the value now that we're bringing to my audience, and these free resources that we're offering them. I really, really appreciate it. And sorry with the technology a bit today. You know, hopefully we could get on again on a, you know, we're always talking to each other every day. Sometimes I talk to you more than my husband, but anyway.
Well, hey, speaking of which, okay, because I remember that you told me when you guys came to Bali, okay, that DC really transformed your relationship. So is that still transformed?
It's transforming. Yeah, yeah. We'll talk offline. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so much, Arthur. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited. I'm going to go on the module. I think I'm on module 5. So I'm really, you know, 25% of the course right now, which is yay. Yeah, I'm really getting trying to launch my my course on time on the 23rd. So very exciting stuff happening. Join Arthur on his workshops.mba. Amazing, amazing. If you're thinking of launching and bringing your information online, and go ahead and take the test. There's a free link and free code, and hopefully you get the resources and the information that you need. And thanks again, Arthur. Any last words?
No, just stay awesome. Whoever you are out there on Facebook, on YouTube, Hanan's friends. Okay, if you're Hanan's friends, you must be awesome. So stay awesome.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you so much. And I'll be coming to Bali. He's in Bali, and the Avalon resort is absolutely beautiful, amazing. I'm addicted to the food as well. So as soon as I can get on a plane, I'm coming to you in Bali, Arthur.
All right, sounds great. All right, Dr.
Thank you.
So honored that you had me. Thanks again.
Thank you. You guys take care, everyone. See you every week. Join us every Wednesday. We bring you a lot of awesome experts like Arthur. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.